You're listening to 50 Pirates in 50 Days on the Sports Objective Podcast. A new era of East Carolina football is here and will begin on August 31st when Mike Houston leads the Pirates into action at NC State. Between now and then, join us for a daily trip down memory lane as we experience Pirate football through the words of the men who made those memorable moments happen. Here's your host, Bubba Rosenbaum.
Welcome into the Sports Objective Podcast, our 50 Pirates in 50 Days series. And Dave Richmond's alongside. I'm Bubba Rosenbaum. And now we're very excited to catch up with a Pirate from the early 80s. And then he went on to several solid years in the NFL and in special teams capacity. And I'm talking about Reggie Branch. Reggie, welcome to the show.
Hey, nice to be on the show. Nice to, talk to you guys. Nice to talk about East Carolina, my Pirates. Every day is a good day.
We really appreciate you coming on, Reggie. And just a moment ago off the air, we were talking about how you were out of Seminole High School down in Florida. You played for Jeff Blake's dad, so small world. And so that obviously led to some good things down the road. And then so talk a little bit about your recruitment coming out of Seminole High School and then some of the schools that were pursuing you, because I know it looked like East Carolina might have been a possibility out of high school, but then you ended up going elsewhere.
Now, this is what it was, though. It was a situation I wanted to go to East Carolina because my uncle, Tony Collins, I don't know if everybody know Tony Collins, my uncle, but he go by Anthony Collins also. But thing about it, though, he was going to East Carolina, and then everybody was in my family was talking about Tony's going to East Carolina. I say, if he can go to college, I can go to college. I say, if he can go to East Carolina, I can go to East Carolina. But at the time, though, before Coach Emery got there, was another coach there, and he was pursuing me. But when Coach Emery got there, he kind of didn't look at my, my resume, my film, put in my films and all of that. So the thing about it, I ended up going to West Virginia State. I went there for a year, thought about it, had an opportunity to transfer to another college. So that's what I did. I ended up I had New Mexico, Texas El Paso, and East Carolina. So I got accepted all three schools. So then I asked my mom, I said, if I go to University of New Mexico, she said, son, I'll never get to see you. But if you go to East Carolina, I can come see you. So I made that choice to go, to East Carolina. And as a situation, I was a red shirted, as walked on. So the thing about it, though, I say they put their pants on the same way I do, so I got to go and make some things happen to get a scholarship because my mom couldn't afford a couldn't afford to pay for school. So I went that year on a what you call it, though, as you don't get a scholarship, you go on like financial aid. That's what I went on. So the thing about it, though, I went on that year, and then after that, though, I made the team. After the year was over, Coach Emery said. When they had given out the presentations and all of that, when we had the banquet, and he announced that I earned a scholarship. So that's how I got to East Carolina.
And I know when you arrived in Greenville, the backfield was loaded, to say the least.
Yeah.
And then during your time there, it consistently remained that way. I mean, not necessarily from the get-go, but, you had – obviously, Tony had just moved on, but then you had you had the likes of Jimmy Walden, Ernest Biner,
Jimmy Walden,
yep,
Tony Baker,
yeah,
Marvin Cobbs. Yeah, there's quite a few guys I can name. Bubble, Water. You had quite a few guys. So the thing about it, I looked at it, I said, well, if I go against the first string defense and make them look bad as running the ball and doing the things in that type of nature, the coaches might look at me and think about me. So the thing about it, though, I went out there and I was on scout team and I did the things that took to earn a scholarship, and that's what I did. And that's how I did it.
So you're talking about that defense, obviously. The 83 defense was...
Oh, yeah. 83 defense, as a situation, though, it's like it was that type of thing in practice. I talk a lot of crap, It's like I talked a lot of crap, to the defense as telling me when I'm bringing it, I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to give you all the best picture as for as for the other teams. So the thing about it, though, that's how that all came about. And as a situation, though, that defense was on point. And I gotta say, man, like I said, all the guys, man, even though if you were first, second, or third string, whatever, we was all about the same, though. Even especially on defense too, though.
We talked to a lot of those guys on the podcast with our 83 roundtable back in the winter and early part of the spring. Talked to the likes of Kevin Walker, Mike Grant,
right?
And that really that 83 highlight film was one of my first exposures to East Carolina football. And just growing up, I remember watching it nonstop, and just the plays that were made and the licks that were laid were tremendous.
Mm-hmm. I agree with you, though. The thing about it, though, that's the same kind of practice we had against each other on the field, too, though, as going against each other. We didn't look at it as a situation, though. It's like seeming like somewhat we was playing a game against each other before we went out to hit, play on Saturday. So the thing about it, though, that's what made us so good. But Coach Henry, he was that type of coach that he's like, he wanted perfection. And as a situation, though, we all came together, though, and we wanted the same thing because we wanted to win, put it that way.
So in that 83 season, Ernest Biner, starter at fullback, and he was certainly a key contributor and key cog on that team, running the option. And so talk about the experience and the valuable experience that you earned and knowledge you gained playing with somebody like Ernest.
Well, the thing about it, though, I mean, as a situational, just like when I watched all the, as watching Ernest, the way he practiced, I say, that's the way he's supposed to practice. The way I see him play in the game, that's the way I looked at the same thing. I can tell you a little story, though. One game we was playing, and Coach Jimmy thought he was kind of hurt, so he told me to go in there and get him. So I ran over there and get him, and then the next thing, though, he cursed me out. He said, "Man, I ain't hurt. You going back on the sideline." So it was that type of person. He was that type of person, man, that loved the game, and that's the same way I love the game too, though. But the thing about it, though, I learned a lot off him, and it's like as I sit back and watch the other guys too, though, I sit back and learn things from them, and I take that and take it to that next level also.
Yeah, that's one of those things. Certainly takes a special person and a certain mindset to be willing to know that you might get a play, but you're not going to be the guy, and then be humble enough to learn from those around you, and then use that later on, like you did in 1984 when Ernest had moved on, and then you ran for over 500 yards.
Right. So the thing about it, though, that's the same thing that I looked at. I said, well, I'm going to make sure I have my turn when I get my turn. And that's what that was, too, though, as, to sit back and also watch Ernest and the rest of the guys as to play the way they played. And then I'm looking at my uncle playing, because I came to a couple of games when he played, too, when Tony played. And I watched him as he played the game. And then as he went off to the NFL, I watched the way he played the game there. And I just said to myself, I said, that's that kind of running back that came out of East Carolina, from Tony to Ernest. But I think about, though, it's like a lot of the running backs I watched. Harold Blue, you know what I'm saying? It's a situation, quite a few of them, man, that I sat back and just watched the way they played the game and how they loved the game.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, some of those offensive highlights, or a minute ago we were referencing the defensive highlights on that 83 team, but I remember you guys playing in the swamp, and and just the way you were running the football against a team like Florida. And I remember Jimmy Walden one time he scored, and it was literally untouched.
Yeah. Well, the thing about it, though, it was a situation, what I loved about when we played the guys against the schools like Florida State, Miami of Florida, and Florida Gators. It's a situation, they thought we was one of those schools that, there's a little school, so we're going to beat them. We could put the third strings in there. But the thing about it, they didn't know what type of players we were. and they didn't know we had a team like what we had, and coaches has got us ready to play against them, and that's what that was all about. Until they found out about that, they understood it. They said, well, we won't do that again.
And you talk about the talent that was on that 83 team, and it was something crazy, like 13 or 14 guys that went on to play professional football.
Oh, yeah.
And a majority of those, a decent number of that 13 or 14 were drafted.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Thing about it, though, is you had so many, like I was telling you, though, it's like the guys that was playing the game and playing the way they played. Because think about it, I sat back and watched a lot of scouts come, and I'm like, man, there's a lot of scouts that come out here, man, you know. And I mean, coming out here to see a lot of the guys. And I said, man, it should be quite a few. I'm going go pro. But the thing about it, though, it's just the way we played and how hard we played and how we loved the game. That's what it was all about. And you know, when them guys got that opportunity to go to the NFL, you know, most of them took advantage of it.
So do you have a favorite memory or two? I know it can be hard to narrow it down, but do you have a certain game or maybe even a play or two that really come to mind?
Oh, man. Tell you though, boy.
Yeah, I know I put you on the spot.
Yeah, it's just that thing, man. It's like trying to think. I'm just trying to think, though, as it was so many. I mean, what I'm saying, though, so many of that I can't think of them right now, though, you know. But the main thing, though, is like what you were saying. The three schools that, you know, as Florida State, Miami, and the Gators, as a total of, what, it was 12. We lost a total of 12 points, something like that manner.
Yeah, like 13 points.
Yeah, and I tell you, that was my highest point because some of the stuff they were saying, you know, as saying like when we was playing Florida State and we was, you know, we was beating them, and it comes out to a point, it's like, came out and said, well, you know, we had got a touchdown. Then they said, well, somebody was offsides or something like that, and brought that back. You know, it's just a situation, though, they was going to hold us back from winning as, you know, the Miami team and the Gator team. But as a situation, though, it was just that 83 team, man, that I remember that, you know, we worked so hard to get from point A to point B, and we still didn't, you know, get a bowl shot. That's what gets me, though.
Right.
Never understood that part, though. And we had the fans would come out with no question, but we still didn't get that opportunity.
Absolutely. You guys, and then that 96 team that went 8-3 that beat Miami 31-6 down in the Orange Bowl and had some other nice wins. That's what it's a shame because nowadays, you know, you have 40 bowl games and you honestly have teams going to bowls a couple years ago with 5-7 records.
5-7. Yeah, that's real though. And I couldn't understand that though. And I said, I guess they looked at what I said to myself. I looked at it and said, I guess they think we can't bring the fans, but the fans was coming with no question. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But, you know, it was just that situation though that I didn't understand it. But, you know, we understood that what we did and how we did it, we did a great job, and all the guys and the coaches and you know, and the fans and, you know, the school and all of that did a great job. You know what I'm saying?
So Ed Emery, obviously a tremendous coach, but also someone, as I've heard from some of your teammates, and then also having the opportunity to meet him after his at least college coaching days were through. He was still coaching high school ball back in 2007, I believe, and so I know Coach Emery was quite a character. And do you have a story or two that you could share about him?
Well, the thing about it, though, it was a situation, though, as everybody want to mimic Coach Emery, though. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's that situation, though. He'll come out and say, man, we're gonna get this. We're gonna, all of that, though. But it was funny, you know, it's still like, when you going to say the words, though? You know, when you going to say the words? But my main thing, though, is like, you know, he was that coach. He was that coach, I got to say, that, man, made us, you know, as I always like a coach like that. Because just like I said, as I went from him to go to Coach Kids, the same. You know what I'm saying? Got that understanding about why he loved football so much. And that's what I loved about Coach, Emery, though. He was that coach, man, that, he'll make you laugh, but he'll come back and embarrass you at the same time. So the thing about it, though, he's that type of coach. He'll give you a hug, but at the same time, though, he'll let you know you messed up. So that's why what made us so good, though, I still talk about it today, though, as the coaches and the players and how the fans was and all that, though, and just memories that you can always keep in your heart, though.
So after you wrapped up your time at East Carolina, talk about that transition. You just referenced Joe Gibbs. I know you've played with the Redskins for several years. So talk about that transition and how you got your opportunity in the NFL.
Okay, I'm going to tell you just like this here, though. Just like I came to East Carolina, I said to myself, they put their pants on the same way I do. So the thing about it, though, is I go to the Redskins, I look at it, I said, man, my chances of making the team, because, I'm a free agent, I didn't get drafted. I say, you know what? I'm going to do this in a manner as I go against the first-string defense as Dexter Manley, Charles Mann, and all them guys, great guys, Dave Butts and everybody. And I said, Darryl Green, I said, you know what? As I run these plays, I'm going to give them the best picture they ever seen. And as I did that, I said my chances of making the team was none and slim. So as a situation, I went out there and started playing and then doing the things. And then you got some of the defensive coaches asking, is he running the right plays? And Don Bro, that was our running back coach, said, yeah, he was running our practice. He said, yeah, he's running the right plays. So the thing about it, though, the coaches, I let the coaches, they looked at the way I was practicing and how I was doing things. And the next thing you know, it's like, I got to tell you, that's how I made the team, though. As being on scout team and going against them, the first string defense, and I knew that, I said if I did it at East Carolina, I could do it in the pros. And that's what I did, though. And that's how I got to be, and then the next I said, you know what? I'm not going to beat out John Riggins. I said, you know what? I'm going for that fullback position. Let me block for John Riggins and let me play special teams and all of that good stuff. I said, it's a time and say you got to be a piece of the puzzle. You can't be that person that, that shines all the time, that's, getting the recognition. I didn't care about all of that. What I cared about is just being on the team and helping the team win. And that's how I got from point A to point B.
So you talk about Joe Gibbs and how his practice was much like an Ed Emery practice. I'm currently living right here in the greater Charlotte area, about 30 minutes or so north of Charlotte. Within the last couple of years, I had the opportunity to visit Joe Gibbs Racing and just see the type of tremendous outfit that he runs there, and just hear other people talk about him, guys who had played for him with the Redskins, and then also worked for him because of those relationships they developed with, and then just talking about what a tremendous Christian man he is, and that's one of the things I've always really admired about him.
Oh, yeah, great Christian. And the thing about it, though, he's a great person all around, though. And what I love about Coach Gibbs, though, as a situation, I'll tell you another story. As my first year with the Redskins, there's a situation, it's like my chance of making team, like I said before. And I said, you know what, go out and do what I got to do. So it came down to the last cut. And, and the thing about it, though, it's like, I don't know if I'm going to make it because you got some guys on this team that been on the team for a while. So the next thing you know, I get one of the coaches come bring me in and say, Coach Gibbs wanted to see me. So they let me go. He let me go. But, I had Steve Hamilton. Remember Steve Hamilton?
Oh, yeah. Steve Hamilton.
So Steve Hamilton, and Jumper Geeks, they was there at the Redskins at the time. So the thing about it, though, I was like, I got cut, and Steve said, man, I'm getting ready to go home. And then Steve said, no, man, just stay here for a couple of weeks or so. So the thing about it, though, I stayed with Steve for a couple of weeks, and he came home after the first game. He said, Reg, I tell you what, though, stay one more week, because I see things ain't going the way it's supposed to be going on special teams and that type of thing. So I said, all right, though. I say after the second week, though, nothing happened, I'm leaving. So the next thing you know, though, it's like Steve came home and said, man, you get ready to get a phone call. I said, man, quit joking with me like that. So the next thing you know, they called me, and the person I was talking to said, Coach Gibbs like to see you in the office. So I went back over, and that's how things started. You know what I'm saying? Right. And the thing about it, though, it was that type of thing that what I left that impression as how you supposed to play the game and what Coach Gibbs wanted, I did it. But the thing about it was trying to keep a couple of guys that had been on the team. So the thing about it, though, they brought me back to be a part of the team. And that's how everything came about as me playing, and being there for the Redskins. But the thing about it, though, as when I did get cut, Dallas Cowboys wanted me. They asked me I had to go to their because they had me on waivers. So the thing about it, though, I went to the Dallas Cowboys, and the Dallas Cowboys the what you call it, though, when you go there, you gotta do the kind of thing.
You talking about the physical or the
the physical. Yeah, you got to do the physical and all of that, and I did the running and all of that. And the next thing you know, as I get back to the Redskins, my running back coach called me, and Don Bro said, you heard what Coach Gibbs did for you? I said, what? He said it did an undisclosed draft pick to keep you with the Redskins, because Dallas could have kept me, but he ended up doing that, though, and I didn't know that, but it was that type of thing, though. That's the reason, I've been a Redskins the whole while. I could have been a Dallas Cowboy, but I'm glad, though, the Lord works in his way as keeping me somewhere where I wanted to be.
So you were obviously part of a Super Bowl champion team.
Yeah, yeah.
So talk about that experience.
Tell you what, though, as my 85, 86, 87 years of situation, though, it's like we always see that's like in 86, I think. We had the opportunity to go to the Super Bowl, and I think I tell you what, yeah. No. I'll tell you what, though. It's like, as we went there in 87, it was a situation, as we played. And, and the thing about it, though, as we had a great team then, too, though. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, though, just like the guys I played with at East Carolina, it's similar to the guys I played with, like the Gary Clarks, the Charles Mann, the Art Monks, the, John Riggins, and then we had, man, I'm telling you, though, getting some of the players, though, man. But we had some great guys, man. That George Rogers, I'm blocking for George Rogers. Kevin Bryant, and out of North Carolina. So, we all together and and I'm saying same identical though as when I played with East Carolina, the same kind of players that I played with them as we played together, and that opportunity to get to go to the Super Bowl, that was a blessing though. And then as a situation though, get in the game and then we losing. And we didn't look at that in that manner, because we all came together and said, well, but we'll come back and beat them. And that's what we did, though. We all came together and beat them, and that was a great time, too, though.
That's funny you mentioned Kelvin Bryant, because when you were at East Carolina, I guess maybe your first year when you were sitting out. You actually were Kelvin Bryant on the scout team, right? I read that in the article.
Yeah. I told him, I said, man, I'm going to give y'all the best picture, man. Kevin Bryant ain't going to even do what I'm doing. Ain't going to do what I'm going to do. But the thing about it, though, it's like I always because me and KB, I call him KB. Me and KB, we're real close, man. And I always joke with him. I say, hey, man, I got to tell you, though, I was the best Kevin Bryant at that time, because I told him, I said, well, I'm going to show you what KB going to kind of do. But, KB was that type of ball player, and he did what he did. That's just what that is. When
Right.
doing his time.
I definitely will. Reggie, I had a question as far as the Redskins during that Super Bowl run with the strike and everything. How was it with the guys when they finally did come back? I mean, what was that like with the team, and then the team actually, 2 of the Super Bowls, actually people may not know this, for the Redskins, 2 out of the 3 came during strike years, so maybe we need another strike for to win the Super Bowl.
Well, the thing about it, though, what was so crazy about that, though, as for me to be in that strike and doing the picketing, as walking and, telling, what are you guys doing out here? You had the opportunity, you know what I'm saying? It was that type of thing. We trying to get what we supposed to be getting, as for money-wise, and all and kind of other stuff, and you interrupting. But, it was a situation, though, we didn't too much care for it. But it's like we dealt with it. And then after that, as to come back to practice, and we, as they played the game, I was thank you. You know what I'm saying? For winning. Put it that way, though. But my main thing, though, is like that was a hard thing to do, though, when we trying to accomplish something, and then you got, you got the other guys going out there and saying they trying to play when we supposed to be playing the game. So, that was a hard time, but we got through it, and I gotta say, everything worked, though. But like you said, though, I said we don't need to go through another strike, because what we need to do is, for the Redskins, they need to get some more defensive players, and I think they got some of the offensive players, quarterback, receiver. So, and I'm sure they got the running back. So now all we got to do is bring together, because they haven't did nothing in a long time.
And that's right. And you've got your quarterback that's running in the front office, Doug Williams. I'm a huge fan of, and he knows how to run a team based on the drafts that we've seen the last couple of years.
Oh yeah, and my main thing though is like what I really look at too though. We need some good defensive players. And see, that's what just like I always say though, when you go and get some of them free agents guys, because they know this is their only chance of, getting that opportunity. So, it's that type of thing, though. You got to have them guys that want to play. That, instead of looking at the money-wise and, saying you're an NFL player and just want to get out there and play the game and win. And that's what the main thing I'm talking about, want to win. See, what I look at today, though, is I look at as the New England Patriots, though, if you watch them guys, they all want to win. The coaches, even though the owner, you know what I'm saying? So my main thing, you got to get back to that, though, as you got to have them you got to have these guys that want to win, want to grind, put it that way, to win.
And 2-7-9 seasons are not going to cut it for a Reggie Branch who's a winner, right?
Oh yeah, no, no. You got to tell me. So I'm looking at. We got the new coach. What's the new coach name? I'm talking for East Carolina.
Well, Mike Houston. I thought you were talking about Jay Gruden. Mike Houston. No,
I ain't talking about Jay. I know Jay. No, I'm talking about Mike Houston, man. Like, I see some things on him that I see like he want to win. He remind me kind of like Coach Gibbs and also Coach Emery. And the thing about it, though, he don't seem like he's settled for like that half-ass, that half stuff. You know what I'm saying? And, the main thing. He wants you to get after it. He wants you to go and get it, and he wants you to if you get knocked down, get back up and knock them down.
That's right. And have a chip on it. Like instead of saying it's it's like an understood chip that he has on his shoulder. So talking about the chip, like we heard the last 3 seasons, the chip is understood because you're East Carolina people from all the ACC schools and this school and that school. Give us no respect. It's been that way for many years. So why not embrace it? And these guys that are overlooked because whatever small high school, whatever, and they're great kids and they come here, they want to go to some of the ACC schools and stuff, but they get mad, and that's why we do well against ACC because ACC schools miss out on these guys.
But my main thing though, it's like I don't even want, as a situation, you get the opportunity to go to college, any college. But the thing about it, though, you get the opportunity to go to East Carolina. My main thing, though, is to go out there and get that education and go out there and play the kind of football you known are playing. And it's like, yeah, screw all that trying to go to North Carolina. East Carolina is a big school. I'm going to say to me it is, and I know it is. So the main thing, though, you get that opportunity to go and play for East Carolina, you should get out there and do the best that you can. And then, see, you got to be hungrier than anybody else, and that's what you tell your other teammates. Man, I want you to be hungrier than me, because I want to get out and win. I want to win. I don't want to lose. And it's like, just seem like I got to say, that's the kind of coach we, seem like we have at East Carolina now. So.
What I started to ask you a moment ago, Reggie, is during your time with the Redskins, obviously Tony Collins had several solid years with the New England Patriots. Did you guys ever play?
Yeah, check this out. We was getting ready to play against each other, and then we had the strike in '87. And the thing about that, I was so mad because I told him, I said, if you're going to return kicks, I guarantee you, you won't return no more kicks. Yeah, but the thing about it, it didn't go through. That's when we had the strike. Right before we had the strike, we was getting ready to play against each other, and then we had a strike.
So, Reggie, after you talk about your NFL career, the way it came to an end, and then just what you decided to do, the decision you had to make to give up football and move on with the rest of your life.
Yeah, what it was, though, is when I broke my ankle twice, when I broke my ankle the second time, I said, okay, I did my training. I'm looking at it, it's like, man, it's getting strong. I'm getting ready for it, because we get ready to go to training camp in about like a month. So I said, okay, then, as training with some of the guys, Gary Clark and Timmy Smith, and with quite a few guys. And then the next thing, as doing like a 40, and I'm doing a 40 against, Jumpy Gathers. He was our defensive lineman. And as a situation, as trying to come out, trying to run, and he beat me out of my start. And I'm like, what's going on with this, man? I said, okay, then. So, I kept doing it then. It was almost close time for us to go to camp. And then the next thing you know, I looked at it and I said, man, I can't even beat this. I can't outrun Jumpy out of the, start. So the thing about it, though, I said, I slept on it that night. And I said, you know what? Let me go to Coach Gibbs and tell Coach Gibbs, it's like, I'm going to go ahead and retire. He said, are you sure? Do you really want to retire? I said, Coach, I'm like this here, though. If I can't outrun certain people, it's time for me to get out the game. And then the doctor told me, though, if I break it again, I could be crippled. I said, yes, it's time for me to get out the game, and I had a great time. I went to the Super Bowl. Met a lot of guys that I looked up to, what I'm saying? As to sit back to play, and block for John Riggins. I'm like, man, you got to be kidding me. And Joe Theismann, I said, this is something, and Art Monk, man, I say, this is something incredible. And, come from Sanford, as from Orlando, Sanford, Florida, to, being in the NFL, that was a blessing, though. I got to say that, though.
I had a question for you, Reggie. You were talking about speed. And he played 18 seasons, all for the Redskins. What about how fast you were there? How fast was Darrell Green?
Darrell Green, he ran 4.2. I was there.
That's right.
I was right there because we was getting time and all that. The coaches was out there timing us, and he ended up, and they said, man, you ain't run no 4.2. So he went back there again and ran another 4.2, 4.2 something. Man, I said, you are incredible. But the thing about it, I'll tell you a little story, though, too, though. It's just like in practice. As a situation, I told you I'm going to, I said the same thing with the guys, man, when I was at East Carolina. And when I got to the Redskins, I always told them, I'm going to bring you that picture, though, as that scout team picture that you're going to see when you see Sunday. So there, everybody will come up there and hit me, and I go through them or whatever. But the thing about it, though, every time I go through the line, Darrell Green will just tap me and say he got me. You know what I'm saying? He said, I ain't crazy. I'm not going to come up and hit you. for you to knock me out. But that was the thing about it, though, man. It was all about having fun, but enjoying the game, and also doing the things you need to take to that next level, though, as to win. That's what it's all about.
I'll tell you what, during that time with all the man, I know, Bubba, you were young, but gosh, man, I think the only other team you could probably argue the 49ers during that time, but the 49ers and Redskins in the 80s were the two teams.
Oh, yeah.
For sure.
Oh, yeah. See, another thing, too, though, after we won the Super Bowl in 88, we should have went to the Super Bowl then, too, though, because we was going against we was going against San Francisco.
Yeah.
And we had some mishaps in the game, and that's the reason we didn't go to that Super Bowl.
And there was that 85 team. I mean, there was a number of teams that should have, could have, would have, and we didn't. And that's one of them. You're right. I remember that well. In fact, Joe Gibbs, the worst thing that as a Redskins fan when he retired the first time, man, that was a sad moment.
Yeah. But I'm like, yo, Coach Gibbs. Yeah, he said he's going back. I'm like, oh man, okay then. I'm gonna leave it just like that. But the thing about it, though, like I said, though, everything that Coach Gibbs do, man, he do it 100%, though. And then you got the guys that love playing for him, and also you got the guys love working for him, put it that way. And see, that's what it's all about, man. You got to have that understanding, though. It's like he talk to you like a man. He talk to you like he's your kid. I mean, you his kid. And you know what I'm saying? As that type of thing, though. And it's like that's why Coach Gibbs still doing what he's doing today, though. I got to say that.
What about Brian Mitchell, B. Mitch? How was he playing with he's one of my all-time favorite Redskins.
Oh, B. Mitch, man, great player, man. You know, the thing about it, though, he was one of the guys, too, though, that would, like, get out there, talk a lot of stuff, but he'll back it up, though. You know what I'm saying? And the thing about it, though, is I love to see that dog when he, return kicks and stuff.
That's what I was going to say.
And run. And then the next thing you know, I'm on the sideline watching him quarterback. I'm like, I ain't know you was quarterback, too, though, boy. Because, like, when we played against Philadelphia, the quarterbacks got hurt. And they had to bring in B. Mitch. And B. Mitch did a great job. I got to say that. Yeah.
One of the things I was going to ask you about, I know after football, you lived in Delaware for quite some time, and you were in the restaurant business. So talk about that experience.
I'll tell you what, though, when I left football, though, I had one of the guys that owned the Starboard in Dewey Beach. He came up to me, though, and asked me, do I want to come to Dewey Beach? I said, where's the Dewey Beach located? I don't know where that's located. He said, it's in Delaware. I said, I ain't never been to no Delaware. So the thing about it, he kept talking to me, and then the next thing you know, I end up going. And then the next thing you know, I end up being there for 17 years, man. Tell you what, though, the Starboard restaurant is I stayed there for 17 years for a reason because, I love the people, I love the fans, and what's so good about it, you had fans from like Philly, the Giants, also the Redskins, and you had a bunch of different types of people come in, and we all rejoiced, we all watched the games. But the thing about it, though, I enjoyed everybody that I worked for and the owners that had me to come there as Steve Montgomery. He's the one that talked to me about coming to the Starboard in Dewey Beach, and I really enjoyed it for 17 years. The only reason I came back is because came back home because my mother, she ended up having cancer, and I came home to help take care of her also, and she passed away 3 months ago. So it's like, she's in a good place now, though.
So I know when you were in the restaurant business, I read an article, and you were talking about how your background with the NFL, and that was some real talking point with your customers.
Oh, yeah. The main thing, though, is especially, though, it's like I say anything that you do. And then it's like when I went there, though, I said, as they asked me, and it's like, what you want to do? I said, I'll do whatever you ask, whatever you want me to do. As a situation, though, they asked me, well, once you work at the front door, greeting people. I said, okay, then I'll do that. But then the thing of mine, though, you get to meet so many different types of people, though, as coming through. And then you got to go in there and discipline some people inside. That's what I mean about that. If they, a little too, intoxicated.
Right.
Type of situation, though, you got to, talk to them and get them back and get them home, get them in taxi and that type of thing. But my main thing, though, it was something that I never experienced as, I always go to a restaurant, I go to a bar. It's a situation, you go to the restaurant and you just see a lot of people that goes to the game as a lot of people that I've seen that went to East Carolina, a lot of people that I see at, the Redskin game. And then now they see me hanging out, joking and laughing. I say, it don't change. I was like, I'm still going to be myself, still going to, enjoy it because that's what life is, though.
Right.
And now, now it's like, hey, I'm enjoying my life still today.
I appreciate you so much for coming on and
no problem.
Redskins. And I tell you what, you're, like I told you, a man out of my heart. East Carolina and the Redskins, a great combination. So for
I
your
appreciate
college
that.
and your pro career, and definitely don't want you to be a stranger on the podcast. With all your great stories, we'd love to have you back on beyond the 50 for 50.
All right, I'll tell you what, I think I'm gonna try to be there for homecoming. I know
man.
That sounds good.
Oh yeah.
If you're able to make it up, let us know, and look forward to crossing paths then. I'll
definitely do that, though. Period.
All right.
All right, then. Talk to y'all later. Appreciate it.
Sounds good. Take care. Go Pirates.
All right, then. Go Pirates.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That concludes this edition of 50 Pirates in 50 Days on the Sports Objective. Remember, join us daily between now and game day as we'll talk Pirate football with players from various eras. All these interviews are available exclusively on SoundCloud and our YouTube channel. Remember to subscribe and follow so you're alerted when we post new content. Thank you so much for listening, and as always, go Pirates!